Ugh. My name's Betty. I'm making a video about pre-birth planning. Ever heard of it? Well, there's a theory that perhaps we plan our lives before we come to Earth. I have a deep spiritual knowing in this belief because I had a near-death-like experience about 6 years ago, and I saw it. I saw every aspect of my pre-birth plan. I saw that I had chosen my life. And let me give you a little scope of what that life was like. It was depraved. It was crazy. It was insane. It was full of abuse and trauma and dereliction and homelessness and prostitution and drug addiction and poverty. And it was crazy. And then I had a spiritual experience where I saw that I had actually chosen all of those things. Mind blown. Whoa. It blew my victim mentality out of the water. I was no longer a victim to my circumstance. I was actually a divine co-creator of my experience. Could you imagine the kind of freedom that felt like for a person who felt shackled by the malicious energy of the universe their whole lives, always thinking that there was some big kid up in outer space with a magnifying glass burning me like I was some little meaningless ant. And then I found out that I am actually in divine co-creation with Source. Whoa, okay. I must be a pretty special being. And guess what? Every single one of us are special beings. And while I have a knowing that all of us have pre-planned major plot points in our life, that doesn't mean that you need to. And this isn't information that should be weaponized either. And when I say that, I mean if someone has just lost a child, you don't go up to them and say, well, you planned it before you came to Earth, so get over it already. Okay, we come to Earth to be human and to experience a wide range of human emotions, and grief is definitely one of them. We can't experience grief anywhere else because there is no such thing as separation. And it is an intense experience that absolutely demands to be felt. You can run away from it all that you try. I tried to run away from my grief for over a decade. I ran away from the grief of losing my parents to suicide, drug addiction, and poverty. And that grief was just waiting there to greet me when I stopped using my negative coping strategies. It was intense. And okay, so pre-birth planning, what does that mean? Does that mean that I've planned every bowel movement in my life? Yes. No, it doesn't. It doesn't mean that. What it means is that you've picked out major plot points in your life, and they will happen no matter what you do. So I'll tell you some of the things that I saw in my pre-birth experience. First part of my pre-birth experience, finding out that I'm a divine spiritual soldier sent to Earth on a mission, the mission of the Great Awakening to uplift the consciousness of the planet from a level of third dimensional thinking to fifth dimensional thinking. And I do that just by being myself. I don't have to preach or teach or proselytize. People don't have to see the world the way that I see the world. I complete my earthly mission just by being the most authentic version of myself. And it is tits, guys. It is so amazing to truly, freely be yourself. I don't hold back any aspect of myself because the world is not real. It's a dream, okay? You've planned it all out. It's a video game that has a predetermined end. So, okay, I saw that I was a divine spiritual soldier and that all of you guys were too, and that we're here together on this mission. Then I saw this table of beings, and they were definitely in charge of my life for sure. And they were thumbing through this gigantic golden book, which later I could correlate to maybe something like an Akashic record. And they told me that I cannot stay in heaven and that I had to go back to earth. And I was like, you guys are crazy. I'm signing up for the package deal to be up here and not down there. And they said, no, girl, you got to go back. Here's your details of your pre-birth plan. So they took me into this giant grocery store, and lining the walls of the grocery store aisles were these giant cereal boxes. Every cereal box had a life experience on it. And so I start grabbing everything because I know that I'm going to Earth and I want to make the most of it. And so I grab every experience, dense AF experiences like poverty. The earthly experience of poverty is completely debilitating and overwhelming. It is so, so much. I picked lessons like sexual trauma, physical, emotional abuse. I picked my parents. I picked the family line that I would be born into. I picked the major markers in my life. So I didn't plan every bowel movement, but I did plan some major plot points. That's the chapter headers. And three of them that I can speak to right now are addiction, recovery, spiritual awakening. Now, then I was taken through a bunch of alternate timelines where I saw how these realities had fractured off. So the first time that I ever tried to get clean, I was 18 years old. I was sent away to rehab because I was smoking a bunch of meth as a little teenager. And I had an opportunity there to embrace my pre-birth planned lesson of recovery, which would have then in turn went into the life experience of spiritual awakening because I would have joined a 12-step fellowship and through practicing the 12 steps experienced a spiritual awakening because that's the gift of the 12 step. But instead, I kept taking my own free will back and ignoring the internal spiritual GPS. And so it kept saying, make a U turn, turn around, make a U turn, turn around. But I was like, no, 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 I got this. And I just kept going into the life experience of addiction instead of bouncing into the other cereal boxes. And so by the time that I had finally come to a point where the next cereal box needed to be experienced, it was an end timeline, meaning that this was the download that the Great Awakening is happening now, and you don't have any more time to shit around and not do what you came here to do. So, my life experiences of addiction, recovery, and spiritual awakening all compounded on top of each other into one morphosis experience, which was my catalyst experience, my near death like experience. So I got to experience all my cereal boxes at once. And I don't know if you were one of those kids who loved combining cereals. I am not. I'm a one cereal at a time kind of gal. But guess what? I didn't get to do that. So, okay, pre-birth planning. You cannot mess up what is meant for you. That is the bottom line. It's an amazing freedom in this life experience. Your perfect partner is going to find their way to you. Your worst partner is going to find their way to you. Your greatest friend, your worst enemy. Everything is already pre-mapped out. Those people, that soul energy, it already exists. It's going to find its way to you. Fear not anything. Don't fear anything. I have this unwavering faith that God's got my back, Source has got my back, and I really don't have to worry about anything. So that's my little spiel on pre-birth planning. I hope it's helpful. If you have one of the questions that thousands of other people have, like, well, why does Hitler exist? Why do babies die? Why do people get cancer? Why is there murder? I don't have some great, profound spiritual answer for you, except that the people who sign up for those experiences have signed up for those experiences and they've picked the partners. So like something like the Holocaust, while it's heinous and like there's no spiritual recognition for the human tragedy that was that genocide. But it really helps me to think that all of those people wanted to exit together. And so who am I to deny them their autonomy to do that?